Excellent.
Not the Game of Thrones theme, not the Game of Thrones theme.
Let's hope they don't monetize our channel. We've got faces.
Ah, faces. Oh no. Yeah, I do apologize for the faces. But yeah, and we both hate Oasis.
We've got the Oasis, yeah.
So that should be the catchphrase. It's not called War Geordies Wafter, but it's now called War Geordies All Hit Oasis Lake.
Aye. That's it. And yeah, I apologize for the lost in translation between me and my barber this afternoon. He obviously thought I asked him to make me look like Hitler. So, ich grüße euch recht herzlich.
Yeah, nobody knows what that means.
It's a very friendly greeting.
And welcome to the channel. Welcome to the latest YouTube video from War Geordies Wafter from up in Newcastle Lake.
Yeah, that's how for now.
We're playing 9th Age and we sometimes do videos of it, like.
Aye.
Anyway, this is what two Geordies look like. So we are going to be doing another video report. We've been playing lots and lots of 9th Age, but we have taken lots and lots of photographs and had lots and lots of good intentions of doing videos even, but it just hasn't happened due to various people having children and jobs and what have you, same kind of normal adult reasons. But we've played Saturday, we played Warriors of the Dark Gods versus Warriors of the Dark Gods. I've got a new Warriors of the Dark Gods army, which I'm very, very happy with and very pleased with. And Kriegschmidt is playing Warriors of the Dark Gods for another more practical reason, which is
the weekend I'm going to Breakthrough in Stockport.
Alrighty.
I finally have a reason to go to Stockport, if there is such a thing. Yeah, it'd be my third tournament. First one was the Scottish Nationals back in the Big Blur. And then the second one was just filling in an empty space at the Home Nations tournament, which basically meant
full international colours, yeah.
Well, I meant losing every single game, at least 18-2. And then now it's Breakthrough, yeah. That's it. And the reason for the Warriors choice is because I thought I'll probably be tired and probably won't have much brain power, and I'm not the fastest player in the world, and my Warriors army is the smallest number of models and the least amount of thinking, because I think it only does 2 phases.
Yeah, and I think it suits the armies that we've got quite well, because they look vastly different. And one of the beautiful things about the Warriors army is that you can have completely different types of army within the same book. And even though our army lists aren't, none of us have like the Feldrax and the kind of the big monsters and things, but the armies just look tremendously different. Mine's kind of Roman, kind of desert themed, and yours is thick ice themed. And we had this big conversation about which biome they should be fighting in, because either mine would be freezing or yours would be sweating, because one of them armies is going to be dressed up inappropriately.
That's it.
Mine are all wearing sandals and skirts.
Yeah.
And yours are wearing thick padded fur-lined boots.
They're wearing the outside of animals. And I was tempted to try and model little inhalers or pocket fans onto my sloth chosen, because I just thought the poor buggers marching around in furs instead of 45 degrees of dry heat. You know, they're just gonna wind themselves and die, have a heart attack and die. Yeah, it was a lovely contrast between the armies. They really couldn't be any more different, I think, in terms of theme. But what I liked about them, when I say theme, I mean like sort of, you know, the kind of icy Viking winter thing versus the sort of the sandy Roman thing. And but what I liked about both of them, as I was thinking about it just now, is that we've both come up with an army theme that's based on the warriors. And not just on the warriors, like, well, I want to have lots of warriors, but also it's all about the warriors. Like, you know, mine is all about the not only trying to kind of like survive in the harsh winter, but to try and kind of learn from it and use it as a means of, you know, trying to learn from the way that winter kind of beats everyone. You know, it destroys everyone but the most hardy. And then yours is this wonderful envy thing where there's like the you know, there's Heidi, as I like to call her, the sorcerer, who's sort of, you know, lured them all down this path in a way.
Yeah, you got to love your core. If you don't love your core, then you don't love your army. That's it. And yeah, for me, it's all about I guess it's about the Roman. I mean, we've done the army intro vids where I kind of talk about what the background of the army is. Yeah, but it's the Roman legionnaires. It's the people being sent to march off and then deciding actually why are we being sent off to this horrible hinterland and turning around and marching back on the capital is. And it's not about any particular heroes or dragons or monsters. It's just about it's normal men being turned to envy. They are quite nice themes, I think. So should we have a look at the lists that we've both got?
Great.
Wait a minute, there's going to be some flapping. Wait a minute.
Oh, get me little sausage wriggle. Wait.
Yeah.
Go on,
son.
Oh,
no, I didn't do it properly. Oh, no. What's going on? I can cut that out. Yeah. Right, so my list, I've got the Sorcerer, who is my general. She's Wizard Master on a battle shrine with Veil Walker, and she's chosen Evocation, and I've upgraded her with just one bit of kit, just the plate armor, but she's not really supposed to be in any real danger anyway. I've got the chosen Choppy Lord, who's got paired weapons with Blessed Inscriptions on. Previously, I'd been going with the Touch of Greatness, but I decided to go for Blessed Inscriptions. In two minds about what the best thing to do with him is. I just want him to murder lots of things, but he's on a steed, so he can go in one of the warrior knights. Then I've got two great big blocks of Envy warriors with the Zealot's banner. They're both the same. 8 chosen with halberds. Again, everything's Envy that can have a mark on it. They've got banner of speed, so I can sort of reposition and maneuver them around the great big blocks, because I think sometimes they get blocked behind things because I've got those two great big warrior blocks. Yeah, 2 units of knights, just 6 knights with lances. One of those has got the chosen lord in it, a chariot, a chimera, and just some warhounds as a little bit of chaff. It's mine.
Can I just ask you a question now? And then I'm going to ask you the same question at the end of the battle reports. Like, going into the battle, how did you feel about Heidi being on a battle shrine? And like, I know you were intending to not deploy her in a unit. Like, did you still think that was?
So part of what I go through in the video about the background of the warriors, the army intro video, is that a lot of when I built the army, or when I was building the army, it was just driven on what miniatures were in the range that I was building it from. So I had the Victrix historical miniatures, and then they've got lots and lots and lots of people on foot. They've got a really nice chariot model and a really nice war elephant model. So I was just thinking, really, how can I use a war elephant in my army? And it's, well, I'll use it as a character mount, and I'll call it a battle shrine because it seems to fit nicely on that size base. So I think if I was going to put the wizard in a unit, I might, because what I do have is I've magnetized the model, and I've actually got an alchemy wizard as well that I could kind of magnetize and put it in, and maybe a different type of wizard, maybe an alchemy wizard or something with a little bit more war gear, so they can, I know they've got the grind attacks if they go in the battle shrine, but yeah.
Because I was thinking, like, after, I think it was after the last game we played, and I'd sort of made grumbling noises about like Heidi being out on her own, and said, you know, I don't understand why you don't put her in a unit of warriors.
I think just generally in my mind, a sorcerer is somebody at the back, stands at the back and casts spells. I don't know. It's just a thing in my head that a sorcerer is somebody in a long robe with a staff and a beard.
And an elephant.
And an elephant, yeah.
Fair enough.
Sort of standing on top of an elephant and shouting at people.
I would like to actually ask the community to like get into the comments section now and start voting, because I suggested, so Dangle did rightly raise the point that the battle shrine is supposed to be a construct and the elephant is not a construct. And then, but I I'm a big fan of Dali's paintings, and I said, well, I have the solution for you then. I have some garden wire, and there's one of Dali's paintings where there's an elephant in the background that has extremely long skeletal legs. I said, I've got garden wire, a bit of green stuff. I'll make you some skeletal legs for your elephant, so it kind of totters along and has to suffer the penalties of being a construct. So this offer has not yet been taken up, and I would like the community to settle it one way or another by voting whether Dangle should allow me to do that to Heidi or not.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. But yeah, I don't actually know what the best thing to do with a sorcerer is, because really a sorcerer could kind of stand at the front and buff and debuff and be really engaged in the combat and change the tide of it. It really, really could. And maybe I could just get a sorcerer not on a battle shrine and just put her in a corner of a unit of chosen or something and just have her raising hell. I'm not really sure. I've just got an elephant. That's basically the answer. I have an elephant, and I have to find something to do with the elephant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you raised the question about, sorry, just before we move, you raised the question about the Chosen Lord having blessed inscriptions and whether that was the right one. I mean, this is just my opinion, but I think he should really have something like Shield Breaker. Because, and not just because, playing against me is probably going to be Infernal Dwarves most of the time after this tournament. I mean, he'd be good against the amount of armor in armor. But I think as a general thing, because you've got redundancy on reroll to wound, because you've got Dark Prelate
with
and
the Spectral Blades. Yeah,
exactly.
I was thinking Shield Breaker goes really well with Spectral Blades, because Shield Breaker means that you can't wound on any better than a 3, doesn't it?
Yeah,
but
you
I would get the
reroll.
reroll, and with the extra +3 AP. I think next time I might try that. Blessed Inscriptions, because you only had one unit
with an Aegis save, one model.
one model with an Aegis. And both of us have agreed that we don't tailor our armies to beat each other's armies. They even though we know who we're going to be playing and we share our army list, we try and be fairly neutral and just make army lists that we like to play rather than to try and beat each other. So I just thought I'm going to try Blessed Inscriptions.
Cool.
Next time I'll probably go Shield Breaker, because it does have a nice synergy with Spectral Blades. And
not just that, like AP is his only weak spot, because he's going to hit a lot of things on 2s, everything else on 3s. And then you can always get Ancestral Aid off for a reroll to hit if you're desperate, and then you've got the reroll to wound, and then the only thing you're missing is the AP. And
I was using
Breaker goes through bone like butter.
Yeah, I was using Touch of Greatness, which adds +1 strength and +1 AP. Was what I was using before. So yeah, I'll fiddle around with him.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So your list.
Yeah. And this is only the second game I've played, I think, with this army. And I think only it's the first game I've played with this exact list. The Herald was a bit of a new addition. I did originally make a load of Herald models out of old classic demon models that I had, because I wanted to find ways to model the manifestations. But then I sort of informally took the Herald out of the list, because I just thought I haven't got enough magic. I'd really like to have a sorcerer, and I got the Archaon kit for Christmas, on top of Dorgar, and so I had that mad quest to balance Dorgar on a 50 by 100mm base to make a dragon mount for a sorcerer. But then I cut up Dorgar to make something for my Infernal Dwarves army. So then I thought, why not put the Herald back in and give it a go? And I think it worked all right. I didn't really feel like I lacked spells. Had the 3 spells from the Herald, and then the Rod of Battle on the Lord, and the Hellfire Banner on the Chosen, which, to be honest, to begin with, I just put in there because I thought I haven't got enough spells, and I can't afford another wizard, so I'll have to buy Icon of the Infinite. But that actually turned out to be really useful, so I think that was a good decision.
It did. And Entropic Aura.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, so for me, that's really the focal point of the ethos of the army. I was saying before about kind of both of our armies. It's really about the warriors in very different ways. And in mine, I kind of wanted to have this idea that the only warriors who were in the army were those who'd proven themselves, who could not only survive in the sort of the horrible cold, but had also kind of learnt to fight like winter in different ways to beat their foes. And that I thought, well, then it would make sense that the Chosen Lord would have Entropic Aura, because it's basically saying, if you're going to fight me, you can't cheat. I'm not going to cheat. You know, I've earned my weapons, and I've earned this armor. And you know, if you've earned your weapons and your armor, then you'll beat me. And if you haven't, then I'll chop you to bits. So it's like just a cancelling thing, isn't it? It's saying, you know, like no force powers, just lightsabers. So yeah.
It reminds me of an anecdote that Gary Newman told in his autobiography. So I've read Gary Newman's autobiography. Apparently he went to audition to be the guitarist in The Jam with Paul Weller.
All right.
And he turned up and he had all these effects pedals and different things, you know, and distortion effects that he was passing his guitar through to make it sound really, really cool, because he wanted to be like a punk rocker and everything. But they made him take it all off, and they said, no, you've got to play as your guitar without any effects and without any pedals, just so we can hear what a good guitar player you are. And of course he was terrible and he failed the audition. That's a little bit like the Entropic Aura. Paul Weller insists on the Entropic Aura of no effect pedals when you audition for his band.
That's it. I should name my Chosen Lord Paul. In fact, I'm going to name him Paul Wellard. There you go.
Paul Wellard, yeah. And no effect pedals on if you come to audition for Paul.
That's it. Yeah. Actually,
And
you've just reminded me of another anecdote involving Gary Newman, which, because I haven't read Gary Newman's autobiography, I've read Dee Snider's autobiography. And there's a story in there about how Gary Newman had been slagging off Dee Snider from Twisted Sister. And then they ended up, something like a festival, ended up at the same festival together. So Dee Snider, who, if you've ever seen him, is a terrifying figure of a man. He's no less terrifying for going on stage in his mum's clothes, you know, with sort of like drawn on eyeliner and stuff like this. He's just a great big, huge human being. And apparently he just like marched up to Gary Newman and just went, boom! And Gary Newman ran away. So there you go.
Yeah, we hate Oasis, but we have a soft spot for Gary Newman.
No, I don't. I have a soft spot for Dee Snider.
Oh, okay. But we both hate Oasis.
That's why, you know, if you lose a battle, it's because you try and play like Gary Newman, whereas I play like Dee Snider.
But you've got the Entropic Aura, so.
That's true. Well, I mean, Dee Snider is pretty allergic to bullshit, so we could say, you know, it's sort of like a, you know, no bullshit aura.
Okay.
Anyway,
back to the game. So we had rolled Count of Frost and King of the Hill. My spells that I took on the Sorcerer were Spectral Blade, Touch of the Reaper, and Whispers of the Veil from Evocation, and then Hellfire, which is my hereditary spell, which I can get through the Battle Shrine as well. And then, because I had Dark Prelate on my Chosen Lord, he comes with Spectral Blades again and Hand of Glory as bound spells. So that was what I went for.
And the price tag that I pay for having a Herald as my main caster is that I have to choose the spells rather than the manifestations, unless it doesn't matter what spells I take. So this game, I really had to have the Rot Within, because warriors against warriors, I was going to have to find a way to give myself the edge in hitting you. And then I thought that the Smite the Unbeliever one was a no-brainer as well, because, you know, I had so much stuff that's strength 4 and you have so much stuff that's resilience 4, so it made sense to take that one too. So that meant I got the Rot Within, Smite the Unbeliever. I've never ever played Hand of God before, and it just looked like so much fucking fun. I just thought I'm going to take that one. And then topped off with the Rod of Battle on the Chosen Lord and the Hellfire Banner on the Chosen. So yeah, sorry, manifestations, that meant that I had Abiding Spirit, which was the one where you get a health point back on the Herald if it's on the winning side of a combat, and Unholy Avatar, which makes him Strength 6 AP 3, which turned out to be pretty good against warriors.
So deployment. So we decided for King of the Hill, the objective that you had to capture was the one with the green marker on, which was the field in my deployment zone. And then the one that I had to capture was the yellow one, which was the ruin on your side.
What was your reason for choosing that deployment zone? Like
so
at this point in the game?
So when we rolled off, I got to choose the deployment, and I was looking at it, and I thought there is, I don't know. It was just that there's two pieces of impassable terrain there, and on one side the impassable terrain was way off to the side, and on the other side the impassable terrain was right in the middle. And then there was the ruin, but your chosen knights had the strider through ruins because of the
wasteland torch,
because of the wasteland torch.
Yeah, that's it.
So I knew that wouldn't actually hinder you at all. So I was half thinking, if I put the field kind of there and the impassable terrain is there, then it kind of means that you're a little bit hindered trying to get to the get to the objective for the King of the Hill. And I was worried about having to go through the ruin if I wanted to advance forward, because that's dangerous terrain. So I thought if I have what's on our screen there as the top half where you ended up deploying, then pretty much everything I wanted to advance would have to go through that dangerous terrain, which I didn't really want to do. So that was really why. But then actually it meant, again, I had to split my army, and again it was very easy for you to just focus on half of my army and go and kill half, and then go and kill the other half, and kind of I'd outmaneuver myself by having to split myself around that impassable terrain. So it wasn't a particularly good decision.
Spoilers.
We should just say that this was a forest, but that was blitzed by the wasteland torch.
Yeah.
That's why there's got a crater on it.
It didn't really do anything to the game, did it? But it was just like, I've paid for this special banner, and by God, I'm going to use it. So that forest over there that nobody's going to go anywhere near is now a ruin.
Yeah. So that's deployment. So we just run through what we've got on each side then. So from the left, I've got my Chimera here. 1 unit of warrior knights, 2 units of warriors. This is the sorcerer on the battle shrine called Heidi, because she hides a lot. I've got warhounds here, chariot there. My chosen are in the field guarding the objective, and this is the 2nd unit of warrior knights, which has the chosen lord inside. Shall I?
Yes, yeah. Then I've got my Chimera almost opposite your Chimera, and the plan was, so basically I tried to deploy as little as possible. And there was this really fun game that you and I had where you were playing dwarves and I was playing highborn elves, and I did that refuse flank where basically trying to trick you into deploying loads of slow big units of dwarves on one side, and then I fucked off to the other side. I just thought it'd really satisfying to do that again. So that's why I put the Chimera down first over there in the hope that you'd sort of put something juicy opposite it. And then I didn't want to put anything over on the side by my water terrain, because that's where I wanted to sort of go, surprise, I'm really going to be over here. So I put the chosen down because they were just going to sit there. I mean, essentially, with having sloth, they can't move, they can't charge a very long way anyway, and they're just a big bulwark for things to bounce off. So I thought I'd just sit them there, and anything that comes near, they can hellfire. And if I'm fast enough, I can smash the stuff on the sort of the field side of the impassable terrain, and then, as Dangle said, come back over and finish off the rest. So the idea was that the chosen knights would do a swift reform and bugger off 7 inches towards the other stuff, so that there was sort of 4 hefty units heading over towards Dangle stuff. So behind the ruins, that's the chosen knights in a big line of 4, with the sloth chosen on the left as you look at it. Then on the right is the greed warriors with the chosen lord inside, because he's got greed. Then the greed warrior knights, And I will say I'm a massive fan of greed. I don't really understand why it's not more popular, because to me it's a bit like having a mini magic phase, because you can really swing a lot of the combat in your favor by just choosing which set of weapons to use. I love it. I think it's brilliant. And then over on the right is the Envy Warriors with paired weapons and the Herald who went in that unit. So I plopped him in right at the end, I think, and he pushed the unit out into line formation. So get some extra attacks.
So I think I made you go first.
Which was fine by me.
So this is the end of your first phase. So yeah, a refused flank has revealed itself.
Yeah, and the Chimera's gone over there because I have to move my little pane here. I cast Wrath of God. No, sorry, I was going to cast Wrath of God. That was the plan. Stick the Chimera there to hold you up. Cast Wrath of God among your 4 units there, and hopefully do a load of damage to those units, because we won't be able to move very far because of the Chimera. And then, as you can see, they'd probably work out, the Chosen Lord has triggered his 15-inch march banner to fly up with the Knights. And then there's the Envy Warriors are there, essentially ready to countercharge, in the hope that the Chosen would charge the Warrior Knights, and then they allow the Envy Warriors with the Herald to countercharge in the flank.
So why didn't you charge? Why didn't you cast Hand of God?
Oh yeah, good point. Yeah, because I drew magic card number 1, which meant I got 4 dice. Miscasts were really bad, and I think I only ended up doing. I think I just did Rod of Battle on the Warrior Knights. I think I tried something else. I didn't try Wrath of God because I wasn't going to risk it. I think I must have tried something like Smite the Unbeliever, and you dispelled it. And then I've put.
I think you were trying to cast Rot Within the whole game, and I just kept dispelling that, didn't I? Was it Rot Within?
Yeah, I forgot to tell you at the time, because by the time we finished out, I actually had a really bad headache and I was feeling sick. Not because of your company, just I don't know what it was, just a migraine or something. So I forgot to tell you. The reason was I kept casting the Rot Within to make you dispel it, so then I could cast the spell I really wanted to cast. And you were very kind, and you kept trying to dispel it. But the really funny thing is, there was one turn where I had a sort of typical brain fart, and I tried to cast it on a unit of warriors. And after I'd rolled the dice, and that sort of couple of seconds where you were thinking whether to dispel it or not, I thought there was absolutely no point in doing that, because the unit that was going to be fighting it wouldn't help it in any way. And I just thought, keep your mouth shut, Mark. And then you rolled to dispel it, I think, and failed. And so it went on that unit. And I just thought, I'll tell him at the end. So yeah, that was why I went for. I mean, it would have been a good one to get off, on the Chosen, to have Rot Within. But I was more bothered about. I thought if you'd throw your dispel dice on that, then I had Rod of Battle as a backup, and then it would allow me to cast Smite the Unbeliever as well. So that was the plan.
So my turn 1 is that. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm clicking, and it's not working properly.
It's all right.
Right, I'll just use the camera.
That's the end of
so
your
my
turn.
turn 1.
Yeah.
I completely took all of the bait, and I really did charge in and put everything into that middle unit of Warrior Knights. So the Chariot charged in, the Chosen charged in, and the unit of Warriors,
Knights
charged.
Knights,
unit of Knights with the Chosen Lord all charged in. I think that Spectral Blades got off on that combat on the Warrior Knights because of the Dark Prelate. The Knights on the left hand side, I think, charged the Chimera and your Chimera and killed it fairly easily. Rear charge on the Chimera.
Yeah, with the Warriors in the front as well.
Warriors in the front,
and they were blocked as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so they both reformed and headed back up, and my Chimera has gone up to try and get in behind the Chosen, I guess, or to worry them a little bit. Maybe not that they would be worried about a Chimera, but just to use its speed to get up there. Yeah, so that's my turn 1.
When you say, like you said, I totally took the bait, like, would you have done anything differently with the benefit of hindsight?
the die was cast after deployment.
You think?
And then, yeah, because I've got those 2 great big units of Warrior Knights with Zealot's Banner. Sorry, the 2 units of Chaos Warriors with the Zealot's Banner on, and they're just floating around, just observing. So they, yeah, that's. I couldn't have done anything else at this point. No, I don't think so. Apart from just hold back and wait to be charged. But I've got Warrior Knights with lances and a chariot, so there's no way I would wait to just be charged. So I had to charge. Is I don't know. Again, comment down below if there's another logic. But it was charge or be charged, and if I be charged, then I lose a lot of my advantage because I've got
That's
envy.
true.
So if I charge, especially with the chosen, it's a huge advantage me being on the charge with lances, a chariot, and envy.
True.
So I just had to, otherwise be at a huge disadvantage.
Yeah, I was wondering if there was some way to essentially chaff me with your chosen, or even sacrifice the chariot, like I did with the Chimera. I'm just thinking out loud whether that might have been possible to just go, right, well, I'll just move the chariot up and turn it sideways so that, and then leave my other units back.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know whether that would have done.
What happened to the Warhounds? The Warhounds have already been.
Yeah, they bounced off the Greed Warriors.
Oh, they charged the Greed Warriors and just immediately died. Yeah.
That was very nice of you. Yeah, I don't think the Chosen Lord even got to fight, did he? Because I think I used hand weapon and spike shield just for the hell of it. I just thought it would be funny to just hold the shields up and watch the Warhounds jump onto the spike.
Yeah, so that's my turn 1. Your turn 2.
Yeah. So what's happened here then?
So you flank charged the Chosen.
Oh yeah.
And that combat went disastrously. So my chariot is now fleeing. My Chosen are now fleeing. They fled through the Warrior Knights towards the impassable terrain.
Yeah, because I remember that there was like a critical model removal, wasn't there? Because there were 4 knights left, and the Chosen were only in contact with one of them, and then the knights were in contact with the one at the other end, and I had to remove one, so I removed the one from the Chosen, so then they were only in contact with the Envy Knights, with the Envy Warriors.
Yes, so they're not in the combat anymore, and they fled, and now your warriors aren't in the combat anymore.
Yeah. And there's my remaining knights, and the Greed Warriors with my Chosen Lord are locked with your Chosen Lord and Warrior Knights.
Yeah.
The chariot's running. I can see a spell card on the Chosen. I think it was Smite the Unbeliever. I think I did get that one off on the Chosen. I think I went for the choose your. I nearly said choose your own adventure. I think I went for the choose the stat that you want to nerf one and knock the resilience down, so the Envy Warriors would get a better chance at doing some damage.
Yeah. And we've got another Wrath of God on the table.
Oh yes, well the first one. This is the first Wrath of God, because even though even though it wasn't possible on the first turn, the plan was still working, because I thought, well, the Chimera's held up the Warrior Knights and the first unit of Warriors, so now I can stick Wrath of God down, and it'll be the same as when you did it to my Dread Elves, that I either then have to try and shuffle backwards as fast. You'd either then have to shuffle back as fast as you can, or you'd have to push forwards. And either way, though, there wasn't really a way out, I think, was there? Unless the Warriors sort of went off sideways somewhere. But yeah, it's just a great spell. I can't believe I've come all this time without having used it. Yeah, and sorry, worth adding as well, that your Chimera was down to 1 health point, because this is where I was vindicated in taking the Icon of the Infinite. That I thought I'd just bought it because I thought I haven't got enough spells and that's the only thing I can put in. But it actually was really useful because it knocked off 3 health points on your Chimera. Good
so
old
then
Hellfire.
My turn 2. So my unit of warrior knights plus the Chaos Lord are now destroyed. So you managed to kill the Chaos Lord, who is not my general, but it's still pretty bad. The chariot did not rally and is continuing to flee. The Chosen did not rally and continued to flee through the impassable terrain and lost 2 whole Chosen
That was bad
to
luck.
dangerous terrain.
That was bad luck.
So now they're down to 2. And then on the left-hand side, yeah, I just decided to be Chaos Knight, to be Chaos Warriors, and just charge towards the Wrath of God and not to back away from it. I mean, there was only one thing to do, wasn't there? To charge into danger is really the only thing to do. So they just continue to run straight forward.
I remember I remember thinking, yeah, that's brilliant. That's exactly the right thing to do. Just go, what would my army do? They would just go forwards into it and go, fuck it.
Yeah. I did it to you when you were playing Highborn Elves, didn't I? Was it Highborn Elves?
Dread Elves.
Oh, it was Dread. Okay, I was thinking Highborn
It was
Elves,
devastating.
It'd be very typical for elves to just back away and try and flee, but no, Chaos Warriors have just got to grimly march forward, haven't they?
Yeah. And it didn't go off. It didn't go off, did it? It just added another counter.
This turn.
Yeah.
So I added another counter.
Just as a note, I remember at this point kind of feeling in control of the game. That feeling went away, but at this point, I felt like mission accomplished over on the right-hand side, and it was just nice not having to use the Chosen Knights, just being able to sit them there, knowing they don't have to do anything at the moment. They're kind of creating a zone of come near us and we'll get you. And the Chosen are just sitting there going, send the icy wind at that monster. We can't be bothered to go and get it. So for the time being, I did feel in control, and I felt like there was a solution to the chariot problem, which was I had 2 warrior knights left, and they could just charge it off the table, and then they could go back and sit in the fields. Heidi was the wild card though I had to deal with. So apart from Heidi, I did feel like I was sort of in control of the table.
Yeah, the Chosen Knights having that banner which gave them Strider through ruins, and the ruins being right in the middle of the table, just made them that whole kind of zone of control. It just made it even more emphatic that they just own that bit of the table. And even if I wanted to go near them, even without engaging them, I was probably going to die just by going through the ruins. So that they were pretty terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your turn 3.
Now I remember Heidi's fleeing. Do you want to talk about that?
Well, you declared a charge with this is your Greed Warriors, isn't it?
Yeah, with the Chosen Lord in. Yeah.
With the Chosen Lord, declared a charge against the my Sorcerer on the battle shrine. Yeah, and I thought I could probably flee and then rally, and it was probably a little bit daft because she was quite close to the table edge at that point there. But I thought I had a fairly good chance of being able to flee and then rally, and she can still cast spells even though she's fleeing. And I thought, well, next turn she'll just rally and it'll be fine. Because I thought with the Chosen Lord and a whole unit of warriors, I thought that you would wipe her out quite easily. So she fled.
And I remember at the time thinking, I think that's what I would have done, rather than just have her sit there and get charged by the Chosen Lord and the warriors.
She's reasonably resilient, but can't give anything back out again. And there was nothing that would be able to support her if she got locked into a combat. So it's not even as if, well, she's got plenty of wounds and plenty of resilience and armor because of the battle shrine, and there's some knights on the way that can come and save her. She would have been there on her own and would have immediately, if not immediately, there was nothing that could have been done to help her.
True.
Yeah. So again, comment down below. What would you have done? What would you have done? I thought I could probably rally her before she fled off the table. Wrath of God went off.
It did, didn't it? Yeah. There's that sort of middle unit of warriors. There's 4 dead, I think, and then the Chosen Knights, obviously, I thought, bollocks, I'm going to charge them and charge those warriors. It'll be fine. And this was the point where I forgot about parry, wasn't it? Which was not a fatal mistake, but it was a fairly serious mistake because I just thought, these are my shiny new Chosen Knights and they've got Wrath, they'll just steamroller, especially if I can get Smite the Unbeliever off on your warriors and reduce them to Resilience 3. Halberds, giving me Strength 5. It'll be great. It'll just be 2s to hit, 2s to wound. Jobs are good 'un. But you had parry and spike shields.
And spike shields. I think you did lose a few wounds to spike shields, didn't you?
5. 5. Well, certainly I lost 5 health points in total, and some of them were to spike shields. Yeah. And this was the point where my feeling of being in control of the table went away rapidly because I'd expected great things from the Chosen Knights, but I'd let them down. And they had sort of, were now stuck in this combat where their Wrath bonus had expired. And the Envy Warriors, because I couldn't afford a musician, they were stuck all the way over there. So they were going to be a while getting over. The Greed Warriors had just charged Heidi and obviously couldn't complete the charge. So they were now pointing towards the impassable terrain. It's going to take them a while to get back. I thought, oh shit, right, we're going to have to send in the Heralds. And I was looking at my Chosen and thinking, well, they are pretty tough, but there's a whole unit of warriors there, a unit of knights and a chimera. And I meant to ask you at the time whether you'd thought about this, but I don't know if you remember, but on this turn of mine, the distance from the Chosen to your warrior unit that I charged the Chosen Knights into, it was like 9 and a bit inches. And I remember thinking, well, that's great because I only need to roll a 5 on the dice to get in. I won't lose the sloth bonus and I'll be in his flank. So Chosen Knights in the front and Chosen in the rear. It'll be a bloodbath. Had you decided to risk that, or had you just thought we'll just go forwards and, blow raspberries at the Chosen Knights? Or
I think because I had I just wanted to be on the charge because of Envy. I just thought it was always better to be at the advantage of having the re-roll in my ones. And it's just a huge advantage to be the one who charges. And I think I had the unit of warriors and the warrior knights and the chimera who could all do front. I could do front, flank, and rear on the Chosen. And I thought, well, if I've got any chance of defeating a unit of Chosen, it's going to be by doing this 3-pronged attack. It just seemed to be the obvious thing to do. I knew I would again have to charge over the dangerous terrain with the warriors, and I would probably lose some. But it's always better to be on the charge if you've got Envy and Lancers. It's not something that I was thinking there was much alternative to, because there's such an advantage of using the Lancers and using Envy.
Fair dues. Anyway, the Chosen rolled. They had a champion. I think they rolled 1 and 2 or something like that. And obviously the champion puts the dice roll up to a 4, but that wasn't enough because it was over 9 inches. So I needed a 5. So they failed. But they failed so low that their failed charge didn't get them into the ruins. So I didn't take any DTs, which was good. Yep.
So it's your turn 3. Yeah. So my turn 3. Yeah, I didn't get the charge of the knights, but I got the warriors in the front and the chimera in the rear.
It's quite a lot fewer warriors. There's a lot fewer warriors in that Chosen combat now, isn't there?
There's a lot fewer warriors, but there's a lot fewer Chosen as well, because I think you chose not to attack the chimera.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So the chimera did actually do a fair bit of damage, and really what I wanted to do was I wanted the warriors to hold the Chosen until the warrior knights could charge into the flank of them, and I was fairly sure that if I had all 3 things happening, then I could defeat them. So as long as the warriors held, then I was happy, because I would definitely be able to get the charge of the warrior knights. Heidi fled off the table, failed to rally, and ran off the table, which was bad luck. Again, there's going to be good luck and bad luck in the games, though, isn't there? So you try not to feel sorry about bad luck, but it was unfortunate. The chariot also ran failed to rally and ran off.
No, that wasn't what happened. It was so in my turn, the 2 knights declared a charge against it, so it had to flee immediately, and
Because it was already fleeing.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. And I forgot to mention, because of my little video pane was covering it, but on my turn, I cast Wrath of God on top of the mountain, so it's on the
top
hill
of the hill that the Chosen
yeah.
were fleeing onto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just saved me from having to go and get them.
Yeah, and the Chosen Knights are still trying to get past my little unit of warriors. They're not
shields.
Cutting, yeah, spike shields and parry. They're not cutting through much.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that's my turn 3.
Yeah.
Your turn 4.
So the 2 warrior knights have turned round and come back up onto the field to claim the secondary objective. The herald, it looks like that. Yeah, the herald charged into the combat with the Chosen Knights into your flank, and I mean, yeah, it had 5 attacks. It was hitting you on 2s, I think, and it was strength 6, AP 3. I can't even remember if I had Smite the Unbeliever off on you, but it was sufficiently bloody, and I think the herald must have chased down your warriors. Because it's ended up pointing towards your 1 remaining Chosen. And there's only 1 remaining Chosen because Wrath of God went off, didn't it? And killed one of the 2 Chosen, leaving the champion. So there's a Chosen champion on his own there on the mountain, with the herald staring at him, fleeing. Yeah. And then I guess my Chosen finished off the Chimera and enough of your warriors that there was only the champion left, and then you fled and I failed to catch you. And so the Chosen Knights have just turned around to sit and face your knights and say, come get us if you want. That's another thing I like about the Chosen Knights, is that I think I said to you at the time, didn't I, that one of the things I love about taking greed on the warrior knights and not having lances is that you don't have to get the charge. You know, they can be charged. They can sit there and go, come and get us. We've got all the weapons we need.
I think that's it. I think if I've got lances and envy, then I have to charge, really. And it's pretty disastrous if I don't charge. So I think having the option of just sitting there with a halberd or even a great weapon is pretty cool.
I don't know if it's disastrous if you don't charge. I mean, they're still warriors. They've still got, plate armor and a spiked shield.
There's such advantage to being re-rolling your 1s and having the extra stuff for having the lances. It's not disastrous, but it's you lose a lot if you're not on the charge.
Yeah, and I think that the Chosen Knights have that same versatility because you can only take them with halberds. They can't have anything else. So then there's no incentive for them to charge other than that you get the +1 agility if you need it, and you get that +1 combat resolution point for charging. But they can quite happily just sit there and go, come and get us, we've got halberds. And I really like that. I feel like the versatility of these units is great. And I had been worried going into the game whether I had enough magic, but I think actually that versatility mitigates that because I'm not relying on a unit only being able to do one thing.
Yeah, I think they were pretty. They were pretty commanding just in the middle of the board there. Yeah, at this point things are looking pretty grim for old Dangle. All of my guys are dead, apart from a few guys who are on horses.
Yeah. We got two lone champions bravely fleeing across the table. Yeah.
Yeah, both of them fleeing. So my turn 4. My champions continued to flee.
No, your Chosen champion rallied.
The Chosen champion rallied, but my warrior champion continued to flee, I think.
Because do you remember I got very excited that this is what happens when you're tired and you have a toddler and it's 11:30 at night and you're on turn 4.
I'm not the toddler he was referring to.
But I have had you.
Yeah, when I was a toddler. Yeah.
Oh God. That's lower than my Hitler thing. Congratulations. Yeah, because I got dead excited because I forgot that your chosen champion wasn't rallying, and I was like, oh, I've had a really good idea. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna declare a charge with the chosen against your warrior champion, who's sort of towards the water. He'll have to flee, and then I'll declare a charge with the herald against the chosen champion, who'll have to flee, and then I'll pass a discipline test with the herald to redirect the charge at your warrior champion, who'll then have to flee off the table. And if I'm lucky, the chosen champion will have fled off the table as well. It'll be like ping pong, get them off the table. But yeah, your bloody chosen champion rallied, didn't he?
Yeah. So he rallied, but
Yeah.
and then these guys have wheeled round to try and get in the rear of the sloth chosen.
Yeah. Try and get in the rear of the sloth.
Yeah, in the rear of the sloth. Yeah. So your turn 5. I think you did manage to chase down this guy eventually.
Yep. And the heralds. Yeah.
The herald found the chosen champion and swallowed him whole.
It's him. Yeah. I love that herald.
And then pretty rapid resolution. My turn 5, I did rear charge the sloth warriors.
Sloth chosen, yeah.
Sorry, the sloth chosen, and won that combat, and they managed to flee from the combat, but I didn't catch them.
Yeah, I think I rolled an 11 on the 2 dice, so they did manage to escape.
But then it puts your herald into the flank of them. So on your turn 6, you managed to smash into the side of those.
The chosen rallied. My chosen rallied.
Chosen rallied.
Yeah.
You've got your objective with your warrior knights.
Well, my chosen lord is on his own. I think because he'd left his unit to come and help if necessary, in case the herald didn't finish you off. Or was he was being dramatic? I think he was just being dramatic.
I think the herald can finish off whatever he needs to finish off.
Yeah, I think the chosen lord was just being dramatic.
But actually, the herald didn't, and the herald only took 1 wound off my warrior knight champion, and so there was a man on a horse left standing at the end of the battle. It was very perfect. It was very nearly a complete rout, but there was 1 wound left on the board.
Yeah,
on the Dangle team.
It was really quite perfect, wasn't it? That this one lone champion was sort of held on to the bitter end, to his last health point.
Yeah, so it was quite a good game, and I'm really enjoying playing as the Warriors. I played a lot of games as dwarves when I was learning the game, and Warriors of the Dark Gods is just far more fun than playing with dwarves. Yeah, I think probably, as in all these things, the lessons are to be learned from deployment. I just need to once you're deployed and you've got your army list, then you kind of just send your lads forward, don't you? There's everything else is down to the luck of the dice after that, and I think choosing to have to deploy either side of that big bit of impassable terrain allowed you to split my army again, which is a mistake that I've made lots of times before, and I still seem to be making the same mistake. And then, yeah,
it was a tough one. It was a tough map for your army, though, wasn't it? Because, like you said, one side had an impassable terrain near the middle, and the other side had a ruin in the middle. So, whichever side you took, you were kind of, you had a bollard in the middle of the road. And I wondered whether, because I remember that first tournament I went to, my first game, I forgot the guy's name. It was John something. He was playing ogres, and he'd recently been coaching the England team, and I remember thinking, oh well, this is going to be a good start. And he was a lovely guy, so I enjoyed the game, but I was under no illusions that he was going to absolutely wipe the floor with me. And I played my infernal dwarves, and I was quite spread out. And at the end of the game, he was really helpful. He said, if you just sort of turtled in one corner, it would have made it very, very difficult for me, because I wouldn't have been able to get like sort of any units in the flank or kind of isolate any of your units. And I was like, oh, thanks, it's really useful to know. And that came back to me, like in this game, I was thinking if Dangle had turtled on one side of the impassable terrain or on one side of the ruin, then I just would have had to just kind of mash against the front of your army, you know, or perhaps you could have charged some of my army with more of yours. I don't know. Because you know when you were saying,
that sounds very dwarfy to me.
well, you know when you were saying about I can't remember what you said, but you said something about that you went on like the right hand side of the impassable terrain so that I'd have to maneuver around it.
Because I put my objective kind of on the.
Oh, that's it. Yeah. And I remember thinking, that's great, because from my point of view, the impassable terrain is a thing that stops you flank charging me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so,
there wasn't an obvious right or wrong answer, but I think taking a few wounds to dangerous terrain would have been better than just giving you half of my army at a time.
Right.
So yeah, anyway, comment down below. What would you have done?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was good, and yeah, good luck in the tournament.
Thanks very much. Yeah. It's going to be nice because, you know, having gone to a couple of them now, sort of being able to put faces to avatars. And there's a guy called Matt Pell, who's Wasteland Warrior on the forum, who we just randomly got chatting about music because he's in a metal band. He's in like a death metal band, and I used to play bass in a death metal band, and so yeah, we kind of just got chatting about metal, and then so it turns out he's going. So it's just a nice kind of, the social side of it is wonderful. Like the example of my first ever tournament game where this really good guy, really good player, absolutely wiped the floor with me, but was very friendly, was very positive, very helpful. It was just a lovely experience. And I think I told you at the time there was a spot prize for the first person to have a unit run off the table, and that was me. And then I forgot because it happened near the start of the game. And then at the end, he ran over and told the tournament organizer, he said it, but make sure Mark gets his bottle of whiskey, because so the whole thing's it's a wonderful experience. It really is. And
I would really like to go to one. It's this weekend, but I fly to Pakistan on Monday. So this weekend's the last weekend that I get to spend with my family before I'm out of the country for a month or so. So yeah, it wasn't practical, but I'm definitely going to go to one at some point. It sounds really good.
Yeah. We'll have to organize a road trip. So I remembered I was going to ask you the same question again. So what do you think about Heidi going on her own?
I still don't know. I still don't know. You obviously think that she should be in a unit.
No, I mean, I'm trying not to sort of say, why don't you put her in a unit? Because I'm curious, like, to how you feel having had her run off the table, because she essentially had no choice but to flee and then failed to rally. Like, would you do the same thing again? Would you just put her somewhere else, or would you go, no, actually, you know what, I'm going to put her in a unit and make the footprint bigger? So just curious.
I know I'm to be convinced. I just think that, just to me, a sorcerer kind of stands aloof at the back, kind of observing the fight and casting spells on stuff rather than getting into the front line. That's just a feeling that I have about what a sorcerer does in a battle. I don't really know, unless it was a very different build of a sorcerer. But I'm just conscious that a wizard master with Veil Walker and a battle shrine with very little war gear is already an eye-wateringly expensive unit. So to say I'm going to give her some war gear to make her handy in combat as well, when she's not really a combat, she hasn't got a stat line to be a combat model anyway. Why would I do that? I don't really know.
If your feeling is that the sorcerer, if your feeling is that the sorcerer should sort of kind of hang around at the back aloof, casting spells and staying out of harm's way, what about putting her on a horse? Because the horse would be faster and the base would be much smaller. So like if she'd been behind that impassable terrain, it would have been far more difficult for me to actually be able to see her, to charge her. And then you've got the opportunity to nip around the battlefield if you want to.
But Victrix don't make a horse model with with a character like that on it, yeah, I would have to think about. But and I've got an elephant, so I could what?
What was the question? I
No,
have a
how
solution
could I?
though.
But
You,
horses aren't elephants, so I
the
could, yeah.
solution is then you need to find somebody who 3D prints models of elephants and ask them to scale one right down so that you can have a sorcerer sitting on it like a little horse.
But that's what I mean. There's no model of the sorcerer sitting because the sorcerer model comes from standing on the back of the elephant. No, I could.
Fair enough.
It's definitely something to think about. I could, yeah.
Or maybe have her on foot then and give her the ranger's boots so she can run really fast.
Yeah, I could have her on foot so she can hide a little bit more effectively, or maybe just have something like an alchemy wizard with some war gear that can do like more direct damage and yeah, I don't know. I need to have a think. I'm just trying to change one thing at a time and still fiddle around. I don't want to change too many things all at once because yeah. Comment down below.
Yeah, comment down.
Let us know what should I do with my wizard? Should I put her on a horse or on foot, or keep her on the battle shrine? Wizard master. She not. I mean, this is I think the first time that she's run off the table, and it was only because there was no units around supporting her. It wasn't really her fault. So if she really was behind a screen of a big block of warriors or something, then maybe it'd be much harder to charge her. So it's maybe it's not about what she is. It's about when I deployed, where I put her. Yeah, I'm really sure.
Maybe.
I'm really sure. Anyway, I think we should wrap it up. But
okay.
It's been good, and yeah, we'll try and update more regularly. But having said that, I'm out of the country for a month, so it might be a little while. But we're gonna keep plodding on with this. It's not a failed project yet.
Yeah.
So we're gonna keep going with the updates and the videos because it's a nice thing to do. And let us know what you think. We do appreciate the comments that people have been putting on the previous videos that we've uploaded. I've taken lots of advice on board that has been given to me on the comments on the other videos. So please keep that coming. So much appreciated.
I think we're sort of reasonably evenly matched now that you've found your true home with Warriors, I think, aren't we? And it's probably fair to say neither of us is going to be winning first prize in any major tournaments.
Can we just actually mention the score of the previous game that we played before this game?
That you won 18-2.
That we didn't make a video of because by the time I took the photographs, I then had to be out of the country again for another couple of weeks, and we never got it made. But I have actually won fair and square. Actually won a battle for real now, and it was it was quite an interesting battle that was very well fought. So yeah, I'm not just a whipping boy anymore, even though
that's it.
In every video that we've made, I have been.
No, don't mention because I remember I'd made a mistake with my Kadim Titan and had panicked it when actually it's fearless. I've just realized my video is frozen in an incredible pose. Doing a sort of basil brush. Oh, it's gone. I was quite enjoying that. Yeah, and afterwards I went, oh shit, the Kadim Titan's fearless. It shouldn't have panicked. And I got really excited at, thinking, oh, that would have made the result much closer. And I added up all the points and I was like, no, he still won 18-2. So yeah, so I think that's why I think you found your forever home, haven't you?
Oh, it's much. Yeah, I'm much happier playing this army than I was with the dwarves for a few different reasons. But no, it's been good. It's been good.
I mean, I think it sounds a bit condescending. I don't mean it to, but I think that like you said, you chose you were always going to choose an army with forgiving core because you never played the game before, and it made sense. But I kind of got the impression that you then outgrew them because yes, the core was forgiving, but they were quite frustrating for you, I think.
Yeah.
So Warriors had the same, or some of the same forgiving nature in core. Core that you actually want to take, unlike vampires. where you just literally find the way to take as little as possible. But yeah. So yes, similar for me with taking them to breakthrough. Just I thought, you know, it'd just be nice to be able to relax and not try and manage 150 small units of dread elves. You know, just have a simple army with no shooting, small number of units, and I think a good amount of magic. So yeah, I'll let you know how I get on.
Yeah, brilliant. Right, okay.
And
Thanks for watching,
next
everybody.
time. Sorry, maybe next time we do a video, there might be the fruit of the design reviews to talk about, because obviously that's coming up.
Oh yes,
in December.
We'll keep our eyes open on that, and hopefully get some goodies.
Yeah, shiny new toys. Cool. Thanks ever so much, everyone.
Right. Okay then. Ta-da.
See you later.